Well, those who have skirted death often talk about their near-death experiences, and at times the stories sound like a scene from the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and while some researchers discount the accounts as hallucinations, others are starting to take a closer look. Tonight, Jeff Abell shows us why some scientists now seem convinced that the stories may actually be real.
Ellyn Dye is a professional writer who didn't quite learn the lessons of life until she discovered death.
There really is more to who we as human beings are.
She made her life-changing discovery on a drive to the supermarket 30 years ago. Another motorist veered into her path, sending Ellyn Dye crashing.
I had enough time to think, oh my God, I felt no impact whatsoever. I felt nothing. And the next thing I knew, I was looking down at the top of my car.
Ellyn Dye was viewing her own crash scene from a distance. It was an out-of-body experience that sounded all too familiar.
The tunnel of light showed up. You can see this bright, bright light, but the most important part is that you can feel it. I almost immediately saw all of my relatives who had passed. You know, how happy they were to see me and how proud of me they are.
Her experience confirmed what she had forever believed, that life exists even after death.
And I really do think that the worst thing we can be is afraid.
I never had a question whether it was real or not. I knew it was real for me.
5 years ago, Jack Dunleavy was also knocking on death's door. Not long after pulling his tractor out of the barn, it gave way to the soggy ground.
4,000 pounds is what the tractor guy told me.
All 4,000 pounds overturned and landed on Jack Dunleavy's back.
Instantly, I knew I was going to die.
What happened next is similar to what happened to Ellyn Dye. A bright tunnel appeared, and so did familiar faces.
But when I walked in and floated into that, all of my concerns that I carried were gone. As I was in there, I also saw my parents coming toward me.
Scientists have long believed that these out-of-body experiences were simply hallucinations. But after studying the stories of more than 2,000 heart attack survivors, some researchers now seem convinced that those near-death experiences may actually be real. The study, which is the largest to date, found that more than 40% of survivors describe having some form of awareness long after they were declared dead.
In general, people describe seeing lights, they describe feeling peaceful, they describe sometimes meeting relatives, almost as if they're walking them to where they were going.
No, there's no life after death.
This New York surgeon says there is a scientific explanation. For as long as 5 minutes after the heart stops, neurons, he says, are still pumping images through the brain.
And so when we talk about that white light, that's happening in your occipital lobe.
Some people just can't comprehend that something like that could happen, but it's getting more common now, so people are starting to listen.
For Ellyn Dye, the research bolsters what she's known for years.
It doesn't convince me more that my experience was real, because it was very real. I can say I saw all of my relatives who had died. They were alive. They were more alive than they were ever alive on planet Earth.
I'm Jeff Abell reporting.
And Dye now leads a support group for those who have had near-death experiences.